thank you for joining us today. This is Fresh Inc.'s first podcast. We wanted to chat to you today with Fresh Chats about your branding, your logo, and how important it is to your business.
So the different kinds of things that make up a brand, what would you think those are? Like, say for instance, that you have your logo, you've got somebody working on that, what is the process of a logo in terms of hiring an agency? I mean, what are the questions that we typically get?
I think they always want to know if they're going to get a choice.
Yeah.
They don't really take a lot of things into consideration. They just want a logo, and they really don't understand what the elements of that is. And the usage of a logo is really where we focus, because now, like 20 years ago, your logo was going on a building and on a TV commercial, on radio. It wasn't going on a digital screen that was this big or a Facebook page. Yeah. So when you're making your branding today, it has to be considered on all the universal platforms that it might be applied to. And it's diverse from a billboard down to a little Facebook page.
I think the difference between hiring a designer, a freelance designer to build your logo versus an agency is that we do take those things into consideration. So
totally.
For instance, like the fonts that we're able to use in a logo, we maybe be able to find those as graphic designers online, but then you can't find those for web development because it's not a Google font.
Yes.
Things like that. So I think that's kind of the difference between an agency, because we do web development, we do social media, we do digital marketing.
Yeah.
Having us come in and build your logo, we're going to consider all of that.
Yeah, so it's not one person's talent or trait of doing branding. You've got a whole team of people that understand the applications of where your logo is going.
Yeah.
So the logo is like the beginning stages, the options, your walk through the whole elements of it, how it's going to be used.
The fonts,
and the colors, yes, and the reversed out versions of it. And it's nice because then once you've established your name and your gen now, how are you going to apply that?
Right.
And
what makes up you as your brand?
Yeah.
And so what are the things that, in terms of brand, what are the things that make that up? I mean, when you think about like big companies like Starbucks and all those big
Apple,
and they've really figured out their consistency.
Yeah.
Down to like their little coffee sleeves, down to having their logo even on one of the little green sticks that you put in your coffee, that kind of thing.
It's interesting because our niche and how Fresh Inc. helps people is most small to medium-sized businesses. And they're the ones, like the Starbucks have it figured out.
Yeah.
And that's such a good example because everybody sees a Starbucks logo and they look for it when they're driving through town if they want to get a coffee. And
it could just be that simple. They don't even use the word Starbucks anymore.
And for us, we help people see that vision every day, because in the smaller businesses or the medium-sized businesses, they don't really understand that consistency because they don't have a marketing team.
Yeah.
They don't have a marketing person. So, you know what I mean?
And then they also have other people that are creating elements for them. Like, say, for instance, if they go to a newspaper or a sign company or anything like that, those particular individuals take their own spin on their personality.
Yeah.
So what we do, in terms of branding, is we put together what we consider as a visual strategy, a communication strategy for our clients.
And that's basically your brand essence. Like that is the visual cues that people will consistently see of your business that are visual, that accompanies your logo. So your logo is your name, but now we're going to create some imagery that's consistent for your business. Hopefully professional photography is best. Then we take like sub fonts that really identify with your brand and complement what you do for a service or a business.
What are your supporting graphics?
Yes.
What are your key messaging? A lot of the brand strategies that we produce, and I think that our potential clients would be surprised at, is that we consider the target demographic right out of the gate. So who are you marketing to? And then you kind of build your brand based on that. So who are your customers? Who is that target person? And what are their pains, or what problems are you solving for that person within your brand? So you can talk to those people, and your voice and tone in terms of your brand is expressed and communicated to that target demographic.
Yeah, and I think that if you don't have a professional agency or somebody that understands all those elements, create your branding, it's difficult to get out there and really be effective and efficient to marketing with people if you don't have a vision of who you are already, or have had to help creating that vision of who you are.
Yeah, it's basically what I like to call it is brand choreography. So it's all of the elements working together as a toolkit, essentially, to your future marketing. So if you do go to a print house, or if you go to a sign company, or if you go to the newspaper or any other media with your brand toolbox, essentially, which is the visual strategy, then they know exactly what your brand is trying to convey.
Completely.
Yeah,
I know. And it's so funny how it's a regular stumbling block sometimes with customers and clients to educate them as to how important that part is, because it is an upfront sort of expense and an upfront process before jumping into a brand new website or jumping into a sign for your business when you're brand new and you're a startup. The value of that document or that toolkit is so helpful for so many years, and it also gives you a starting point to maybe evolve yourself from in 5 years if things have changed. I mean, we all know how digital has changed all of our world so much,
especially now.
Yes. And it just gives you that foundation to refer back to, because we strongly believe at times that people should really take all their collateral, all their media, have a look at it and say, wow, geez, we're using different imagery for this, and we've got different fonts on that, information, it's good for people to have a look at what they're doing.
Yeah, I think it also creates a lot of trust within that particular brand, because if you go back to Starbucks, the consistency is that I know my coffee is going to taste like this muffin is going to taste like that. The person that is serving me is going to say the things that they said to me yesterday and the day before. All the way down to the service component, essentially. So the experience is the same all the time, and that builds trust and confidence. And that they're going to get the same experience next time. And so it's like, and especially, again, circling back to people who we help, the medium-sized businesses, that's usually where they've started from, just a smaller business and grew it, but they now they have to kind of relook at things and say, well, how can I stay focused on my consistency, right? Where do we need to work on? And I think as an agency, we are good at the sense of, we come in and we look at you with a fresh set of eyes. And a professional eye. It's our job. We are professionals in our industry, much like all of our clients are professionals in their industry. And we don't expect them to necessarily know what it takes to have a good brand. No. And I mean, a lot of times our clients will come to us and they're sort of embarrassed about, just ignore this logo. I just had to get something done and I needed to move forward with, say, a website or something like that. And it's like, no, it's okay. I mean, we all have to start somewhere. Even with the Fresh Ink brand, say, for instance, it was just a starting point to so many things. I mean, it's just the anchor point to the
and we've evolved through different shapes of colors and schemes. It's just always the evolution of your branding is important, and your messaging is just important to your business. It's and I think a lot of the questions that we do get to is how much budget should I? Well, how much does something like this cost? What we kind of tell our clients is that a logo is an estimate between this much, and this much, depending on their needs. So like you're saying, if you're a small business, we'll consider that, right? What exactly do you need right out of the gate? We're not going to bring you through the steps and the services necessary to create something more than what you need as, say, a small business. Now, if you're a medium to large size business, you might need more things like field testing. Maybe you want to put your new logo out to your potential target demographic right out of the gate and figure out what their feedback is. See if it resonates with them and the industry itself. And what is it telling them? And gaining that valuable feedback allows, say, the medium to larger size business
make informed decisions about the evolution of where they're at.
And I think you touched on a really good point, is that as an agency, we're not a cookie cutter creator.
Right.
We always look at every business differently, because they are different.
Mm-hmm.
And some need exposure because they're retail and it's a more vast exposure. Some is a service industry business. They're not in need, so there's no need to elaborate on certain parts of the marketing plan, because it's not going to really matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's more B2B, it's not B2C, right?
That's right.
So it's really
We
important
consider it,
that we take that consideration. It's not like, okay, here's our price, here's what we do, and now you don't need half of that.
Right. So it's a consultation process.
Exactly.
And when our clients come to us, it's more of a consultation. It's not just here's it's going to cost you $2,000 flat fee, and we send that off to everyone. So we have to gauge what their business goals are, where they're at in terms of the size of their business, if they're a startup or if they're re-evolving or retooling, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's important. It's an important part of I think it's been the important part of Fresh Ink for this many years, is that we really understand that if you're web heavy and that's where all your traffic, and you need an e-com part of your business, that's where you should be really focusing. Putting your budget and money towards that,
right.
and not, just really evaluating the client and the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do get that question a lot, in terms of like when I'm doing any workshops or anything like that, it's how much money does this cost, right? I get that a lot.
Yeah.
And where should I focus? A lot of our clients come to us for names. Like, do they start off with, I don't even have a name yet. And so what does that process look like? Yeah.
And that's an important process with any business. And the questions of money are always, and there is no easy answer to that, just because it really matters on what you need help with. Right.
And the important thing is, and I think, is that if you are a startup and you have these questions and you don't know where to start, then you come to an agency and they can steer you in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure.
And what to focus on, where to spend your budget, and how to build the foundation that's going to last.
The price of clarity is really good when you're starting a business.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. And if you have any questions, just comment below and we'll see you in the next one.